Hi, I'm Dr. Deborah Russell, and I'm going to read to you a poem by Charlotte Dacre, a ballad from her 1805 collection, Hours of Solitude. So this is The Skeleton Priest, or The Marriage of Death. The winds whistled loud, the bleak caverns among, the nightingale fearfully lowered her song, the moon in dark vapours retired. When forth from her chamber, as midnight was told, Irene descended, so fearless and bold, for love had her bosom inspired. Her white veil it fluttered as onward she flew, not regarding the tempest, though harsher it blew, nor chilled by the deep piercing cold. The fire of passion that burned in her breast, all other emotions disdained and repressed, for the power of love is untold. Now sudden a flash that divided the skies and struck the lone maiden with awe and surprise, illumined the desert around. She saw herself close to a precipice brink, and as in mute horror she from it did shrink, "Beware!" cried a terrible sound. "Who bids me beware?" she trembling exclaimed. "Say, art thou a guardian who may not be named, or was it my fancy alone?" Again she proceeded, determined to dare, when slowly again cried the voice, "Oh, beware!" and sunk in a shuddering groan. "What horror this night does Irene betide? Orlando, my love, I shall ne'er be thy bride. This night is the night of my doom. Oh, spirit of darkness, wherever you be, I ask but this night for my happiness free. Let the rest be o'ershadowed with gloom." Once more as she attempted the spot to depart, she heard not the voice, and light grew her heart, no longer by terror subdued. But scarce had she taken 3 steps of the way, when a lady, whose dress was more fair than the day, of a sudden her footsteps pursued. "Oh, be not afraid, lovely maiden," she cried, "but grant me the favour to walk by your side. My road is the same as your own. The bride of Orlando you hasten to be, but that is an hour you never may see, and 'tis gloomy to wander alone." "O prophet of woe," said Irene, "forbear," and turned to the stranger with looks of despair, but enhorrored withdrew from the sight. A mouldering skull in her hand was displayed, while a lamp the red blood on her bosom betrayed, and checkered the earth with its light. "You start, lovely maiden. What folly is fear? And what in this skull can so hideous appear, since you may resemble it soon? Unless you consent to be guided by me, return to your home, live contented and free, or your journey may end in the tomb." "No, never, while life in this bosom shall reign, will I treat my fond love with such cruel disdain, or deny him my husband to be. This night will I wed him in despite of fate, and fly with him too, wheresoe'er he dictate, whatever the sorrow to me." The stranger sighed deep as in autumn the wind. She turned her pale visage, so sad and resigned, on Irene, and shuddering said, "Orlando is wedded. This night, to be thine, he committed on heaven and nature a crime which in vengeance his soul must be paid. Still art thou resolved thy fond vice to pursue? In vain, for Orlando is hid from thy view, and wanders despairing alone. His crime is his torment. By demons possessed, he gloomily wanders, deprived of his rest, in a desert by mountains o'ergrown. Then court not perdition, take homeward thy way. Alone let me wander, alone let me stray, or dread the reward of thy crime. Forbear thou the union cemented by blood, a bond of destruction to lure thee from good. The murderous compact resign. Return, and the past but a vision shall seem, appear on the morrow no more than a dream, forgot in the glories of day. Proceed, and before a short hour is told, again to your horror you shall me behold, your blood as the forfeit to pay." "Your name," had Irene but faintly exclaimed. The stranger had vanished, no traces remained. The silence of death was around. The wind had subsided, the moon now appeared. Its beauteous refulgence the nightingale cheered, and again did her harmony sound. Who dwells in this forest of gloom and despair? Cried Irene. What horror impregnates the air? Do demons assemble to sport? They envy those raptures they cannot divide, the rapture to be of Orlando the bride, and this is their infamous court. They mock at my feelings, they laugh at my pain, but all their delusions they essay in vain. Orlando, I still will be thine. Then onward she sprang. At the foot of the hill, Orlando impatiently waited her still, and their arms in fond rapture entwine. But the arms of Orlando than ice were more cold, as in them Irene he seemed to enfold. His features were hid from her view. His voice seemed hollow, he mournfully sighed. A chilling despondence crept over the bride, a mistrust that she dared not pursue. Orlando, what demons have lurked in my way, thine Irene from all that she loved to delay, and say thou wert wedded from me? No more, fair Irene, the hour is right. I little expected thy presence tonight. Our wedding shall speedily be. Behind this green hill, just close to the beach, is a vessel in which our castle we reach, now gloomy and anxious for you. Come quickly depart. Time onward does fly. Since here you have ventured, you must not deny. And forward Irene he drew. Now approaching the beach, lo, a vessel was there. Of mist seemed the cables, the sails vapours fair. No creature to guide it was nigh. Orlando took charge of his terrified bride. It seemed like an arrow the waves to divide, and swifter than fancy to fly. Now reaching the opposite shore, he conveyed from the vessel of shadows the heart-frozen maid, when instant it faded from view. He forced her still on through a rocky descent. Her feet and her bosom were cruelly rent, and blood did each footstep pursue. They entered a cavern. An altar was there. A priest to unite them does slowly prepare. Their hands are together entwined. When casting his robe, lo, what horrors beneath! The skeleton priest was no other than Death, whom the maiden in marriage had joined. Thou art wedded, but not to Orlando. Behold, for maiden, thy love was imprudent and bold. Thou art wedded and must to my home. Orlando no longer. Dissolved is the spell. Thy nuptial rejoicing must be a death knell, for thou art the wife of the two. Irene, despairing, remembered the wood. Before her the spectre now menacing stood. The wife of Orlando was I. He sent my soul wandering thy beauties to gain. I warned thee, alas, but I warned thee in vain, for thou wert determined to die. Alas, sad Irene no more can depart. The numbness of death slowly crept round her heart, and palsied her nerves seemed to shrink. The skeleton priest now approached them again. He seized on the victim, her struggles were vain. From the world, lo, together they sink.